Janet Jackson's journey is one of immense talent and profound loss, beginning in a small house in Indiana. Janet Jackson is an award-winning artist and actress who is the youngest child of the Jackson family of musicians. Following the tragic death of her brother Michael Jackson in 2009, Janet has carried the weight of grief and a complex legacy. Today, at 58 years old, she is finally breaking her silence, sharing intimate details about their relationship that will shock the world. Join us as we explore the revelations and emotional journey of Janet's path from Jackson Street to global fame. Janet Demita Jo Jackson was born on May 16, 1966, in Gary, Indiana, as the youngest of the 10 children in the famous Jackson family. The family lived in a modest two-bedroom house on Jackson Street, navigating life as a working-class African-American family. Her mother, Catherine Esther Jackson, had musical aspirations as a talented clarinetist and pianist. She worked part-time at Sears while dreaming of a country singing career. Her father, Joseph Walter Joe Jackson, was a former boxer who worked as a crane operator at U.S. Steel. In parallel, he played guitar with a local rhythm and blues group called the Falcons to help make ends meet. Janet's family history is rich and varied. Her great-great-grandfather, July Jack Gale, was a scout for the U.S. Army and, according to family stories, a Native American healer. Growing up, Janet had 2 sisters, Rebby and Latoya, and 6 brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, Michael, and Randy. Unfortunately, another brother, Marlon's twin named Brandon, died shortly after birth. The Jackson family were devout Jehovah's Witnesses, a faith that shaped their upbringing, although Janet later distanced herself from organized religion. From a young age, Janet's brothers formed the Jackson Five, and their rise to fame began in the Chicago-Gary area. In March 1969, they signed a contract with Motown and quickly achieved their first #1 hit. This success prompted the family to move to the Encino neighborhood of Los Angeles. Although Janet initially dreamed of becoming a horse racing jockey or an entertainment lawyer, her destiny under the spotlight became evident. Her interest in entertainment deepened after she recorded in the studio, leading her to consider a career in music. Before becoming a music icon, Janet found her footing on the small screen and through early pop experiments. Janet's first experience on stage occurred at just 7 years old when she and her sisters performed at the MGM Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. However, her relationship with her father was complex. Joseph was often emotionally distant and had a strict approach to parenting, requiring Janet to call him only by his first name. In 1976, she joined the cast of the variety show The Jacksons, marking the beginning of her television journey. Janet's big break came in 1977 when she was cast as Penny Gordon Woods in the popular sitcom Good Times. She later starred in A New Kind of Family and secured a recurring role in Different Strokes as Charlene Dupre from seasons 3 to 6. She also played Cleo Hewitt in the 4th season of Fame, although she felt an indifference toward the series, partly due to the emotional burden of her secret marriage to R&B singer James DeBarge. In later interviews, she remembered with affection how her co-stars played tricks on her, highlighting the camaraderie they shared. When Janet turned 15, her father, who was also her manager, arranged a contract for her with A&M Records in 1982. She released her debut album, Janet Jackson, produced by a talented team including Angela Winbush and Renee Moore. Although the album reached number 63 on the Billboard 200 and number 6 on the R&B albums chart, it received minimal promotion. Nonetheless, it found its place in the Billboard Top Black Albums of 1983, and Janet herself ranked as the highest female vocalist on the Billboard Year-End Black Album Artists list. 2 years later, Janet released her second album, Dream Street, which climbed to number 147 on the Billboard 200 and number 19 on the R&B albums chart. The single Don't Stand Another Chance reached number 9 on the R&B singles chart. Both albums leaned heavily toward bubblegum pop, paving the way for her future in the music industry. Breaking away from her father's shadow, Janet redefined her career in the music industry with a single album. After the release of her second album, Janet made the bold decision to separate from her family's management. She reflected openly on this transition, saying, "I just wanted to get out of the house, get out from under my father, which was one of the hardest things I had to do." This marked a significant turning point in her career. Eager to establish her own identity in the music industry, Janet teamed up with producers Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis for her third album. They sought to create a sound that would appeal to both pop audiences and urban listeners. In just 6 weeks, they crafted Control, which was released in February 1986. The album quickly climbed to the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 chart and earned a remarkable 5-time platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America, selling over 10 million copies worldwide. Control was hailed as remarkably bold and mature for a teenage artist. It offered a fresh alternative to the sentimental ballads that dominated the radio at the time, placing Janet on equal footing with Donna Summer, who had previously defined novelty status. The album produced 5 top 5 singles, including What Have You Done For Me Lately and When I Think of You became her first #1 hit. The success of Control was highlighted by 6 Billboard Awards, including Top Pop Singles Artist, and 3 Grammy nominations, including Album of the Year. It also made history by winning American Music Awards out of 12 nominations, a record that still stands. During this period, Janet managed to shed the label of being just a shadow of her famous siblings. She was transforming into an artist in her own right. The themes of her music reflected her journey toward empowerment, particularly inspired by a traumatic experience of sexual harassment. Janet recounted a moment when she faced street harassment. The danger became real when a couple of guys started following me down the street, and instead of running to Jimmy or Terry to protect me, I took a stand. I confronted them. This is how songs like Nasty and What Have You Done For Me Lately were born, stemming from a sense of self-defense. The innovative fusion of dance pop, industrial music, hip-hop, and R&B influences not only defined Control, but also helped pave the way for the new jack swing genre. The album's music videos became staples on MTV, featuring captivating choreography that even helped Paula Abdul land a recording contract for her work with Janet. Billboard noted that Janet's accessible sound and spectacularly choreographed videos were irresistible to MTV, significantly expanding the channel's programming beyond just rock music. Looking back on its impact, Kyle Anderson of Entertainment Weekly commented that the Control videos solidified Janet's status as a pop icon, placing her alongside contemporaries like Madonna and her brother Michael. Megan Garvey of MTV highlighted the album's importance, stating that it transformed the pop landscape and emphasized the importance of Black female pride through its anthems of self-realization. With 6 remarkable music videos accompanying the album, Control played a crucial role in increasing the visibility of Black pop artists in mainstream music. Behind the glitz of the stage, Michael Jackson carried the heavy burden of a childhood he never truly owned. Just like Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson also had a tumultuous relationship with his father, Joe Jackson, known for his strict discipline. Joe ensured that his children's rehearsals were long and rigorous, pushing them toward perfection in their performances. However, this relentless pursuit of excellence became a source of deep regret for Michael throughout his life. He often expressed his sadness over his lost childhood, feeling as though he had been rushed into the adult world too soon. In a candid interview with Gold magazine in 2002, he revealed, "I grew up on stage. I grew up in clubs. When I was 7 or 8 years old, I was in clubs. I saw girls taking their clothes off. I saw fights. I saw people vomiting on each other. I saw adults acting like crazy people." These experiences left a profound mark on Michael, shaping his perspective on life and fame. He felt deprived of the simple joys and freedoms that come with a normal childhood. The rigorous and demanding environment that Joe created, intended to turn his children into superstars, often neglected their emotional and developmental needs. Joe's severity imposed immense pressure, making Michael feel that he couldn't truly live according to his age. His methods included harsh punishments for mistakes and a demand for perfection at all times. Although this approach instilled a strong work ethic and professionalism in Michael and his siblings, it also complicated their relationship with their father. Michael particularly struggled with feelings of resentment and a longing for a more typical childhood. Despite these challenges, his early exposure to the entertainment industry allowed him to acquire invaluable skills and experiences. His ability to perform under pressure, his meticulous attention to detail, and his unwavering commitment to his craft can all be traced back to these formative years. Yet the price he paid was high, leading him to a lifelong quest for the childhood he never had. The rise of the Jackson 5 was a meteoric phenomenon that changed the landscape of American music forever. The Jackson 5 emerged as one of the biggest groups of the 70s. They began performing at talent shows and in clubs on the Chitlin circuit, where many African-American clubs and theaters were located. In 1967, they signed their first recording contract with the small label Steeltown Records and released two singles that didn't have much impact. Everything changed in 1968 when the Jackson 5 signed with the major label Motown. They quickly became a phenomenon, breaking records by becoming the first group to have their first four singles reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. These big hits included I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There. In just 5 years, from 1969 to 1974, the Jackson 5 accumulated 17 top 40 hits, 6 of which were #1 R&B singles. Their wave of success was fueled by the remarkable voice of Michael Jackson, who was still just a child when they burst onto the scene. The group's funky soul sound, their adorable dance routines, and Michael's incredible vocal ability made them famous. Fans couldn't get enough of their vibrant live performances and their catchy, upbeat songs. After experiencing early success at Motown, the Jackson 5 decided to leave and sign a new contract with Epic Records in 1976. Jermaine chose to stay with Motown, so he was replaced by his brother Randy, and they renamed themselves the Jacksons. They continued to release hits at Epic, notably Enjoy Yourself, Shake Your Body Down to the Ground, and Can You Feel It, from albums like Destiny and Triumph. Michael's transition to a solo superstar marked the birth of the King of Pop and a new era of musical dominance. Although they continued to perform together, Michael Jackson also embarked on an immensely successful solo career with hits like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Billie Jean. However, it was the album Off the Wall that truly established Michael Jackson as the undisputed king of pop, setting him apart from his beginnings as a child star. Released in 1979 when Michael was only 21, Off the Wall allowed him to break free from his sugary pop image, showcasing a more mature sound and style. The album seamlessly blended funk, disco, soul, and contemporary R&B into a seductive combination distinct from Michael's previous recordings. Tracks like the title song, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and She's Out of My Life highlighted his rapid growth as an artist, songwriter, and vocalist. Michael co-wrote several songs on the album, demonstrating his creativity and vision. Off the Wall was not only a commercial success, but also received rave reviews. The album produced 4 top 10 singles, including 2 #1s, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. It climbed to #3 on the Billboard 200. More importantly, it marked Michael's emergence as a dominant force in music, capable of appealing to fans of all genres, ages, and backgrounds. The widespread recognition and success of Off the Wall resulted in several major awards. At the 1980 American Music Awards, Michael won 3 prestigious awards: Favorite R&B Soul Album, Favorite Male Artist, and Favorite Single for Don't Stop. He also received his first Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Despite selling over 20 million copies worldwide, Michael felt that Off the Wall should have had an even greater impact. He was determined to raise the bar for his next album by experimenting more, taking creative risks, and achieving a true masterpiece. To ensure he had total creative control and increased profits, Michael fought for an unprecedented contract that granted him the highest royalty rate in the music industry at the time, reaching up to 37% of album sales. This paved the way for his 1982 album Thriller, which became the best-selling album of all time. Eventually, Michael distanced himself from the Jackson 5 after the Victory album and the massive tour with his brothers in 1984. The remaining members of the Jacksons continued to perform for a few years, but their popularity waned without Michael as the main attraction. The bond between Janet and Michael was filled with deep affection, but it was also tested by the pressures of global fame. Janet Jackson opened the doors to the complex relationship she had with her famous brother Michael in her documentary. At 58, she offers fans an intimate look at the bond between the two siblings. Despite their 7-year age gap, Janet reveals that she and Michael were incredibly close during their childhood in the large Jackson family. She felt a special connection with Michael, which made them inseparable as best friends. Janet shares that Michael even gave her the nickname Dunk, an affectionate term derived from Donkey Ann, in reference to her physique. However, she admits with frankness that his teasing about her weight sometimes crossed the line, leaving her deeply hurt. She recalls moments when Michael called her names like horse, sequoia, and cow. Although she tried to laugh it off, these comments caused her internal pain. Although they were very close throughout their childhood, their relationship began to change when Michael's solo career took off after the release of Thriller in 1982. Janet felt a distance forming between them, describing this period as a time when Mike and I started going our separate ways. She noticed that Michael was no longer as joyful as he had been before. The child abuse allegations against Michael in 1993 placed an immense strain on their sibling relationship. At that time, a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler alleged that Michael had abused him at Neverland Ranch. Janet shared that she was devastated by these accusations, but also angry because they were damaging her burgeoning career. She explained that before the allegations surfaced, she was on the verge of signing a major sponsorship deal with Coca-Cola, which would have been the biggest of her career so far. However, the company quickly canceled once the shocking accusations against Michael were made public. Coca-Cola said no thank you, Janet remembers. Guilty by association, right? Despite the turmoil, Janet stayed by Michael's side, and they collaborated on the song Scream in 1995 in response to the media storm surrounding the allegations. Janet noted that although it was Michael's song, she was there to support him as he navigated the situation. However, their reunion didn't last long, as Janet began to feel isolated and like a stranger during the filming of the Scream music video. Janet revealed that Michael's team deliberately separated her, preventing her from seeing Michael's filming process. Michael filmed at night while I filmed during the day. His record company blocked his set, so I couldn't see what was happening. They didn't want me on the set at all, Janet stated. She felt they intentionally fostered a sense of competition and hostility between the siblings, which deeply saddened her because she wanted to be there to face it with him, not against him. I wanted to get back to the old days between us, but that was no longer the case. Even though Scream became a huge global hit, it wasn't enough to repair the rift in their relationship. The allegations and controversy surrounding them seemed to create a permanent division. Michael's changing appearance became a global obsession, yet the truth was far more painful than the rumors suggested. One of the most discussed aspects of Michael Jackson's personal life was the noticeable change in his skin color, which drew significant media attention and sparked public speculation. In his youth, Jackson's skin was a medium brown, but starting in the mid-1980s, it began to lighten. This transformation led to rumors that he was intentionally bleaching his skin to appear white, speculation fueled by the dramatic nature of his changing appearance over the years. In 1983, Dr. Arnold Klein, Jackson's dermatologist, observed the first signs of vitiligo, a condition that causes patches of skin without pigment. In addition to vitiligo, Dr. Klein diagnosed Jackson with discoid lupus erythematosus, a chronic skin condition. In 1986, Jackson was confirmed to have vitiligo, a condition that can have significant psychological effects due to its visible and drastic impact on appearance. The progression of his vitiligo led to considerable changes in Jackson's appearance, intensifying public fascination and speculation regarding his skin. To manage the uneven patches resulting from vitiligo, Jackson used light-colored makeup and perhaps prescribed skin-bleaching creams. These creams helped depigment the patches and, combined with makeup, allowed him to achieve a more uniform skin tone, often appearing quite pale. Despite his efforts, Jackson faced relentless scrutiny and criticism from the public and media. He consistently maintained that he had not intentionally bleached his skin and that he was powerless to control the effects of vitiligo. During a 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Jackson addressed the rumors and misconceptions surrounding his condition, stating, "When people make up stories saying that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me." His struggle with vitiligo and the public's misunderstanding of it caused him considerable emotional stress. Jackson's physical appearance underwent significant changes throughout his life, which he discussed in his 1988 autobiography Moonwalk, as well as in the 1993 interview. He openly acknowledged having undergone 2 rhinoplasty surgeries, but denied having had other cosmetic procedures. His first rhinoplasty was intended to improve his breathing and vocal range, both essential for his singing career. The second surgery was performed shortly after to correct complications from the first. Jackson also noted that he had a cleft added to his chin, which further altered his facial structure. In the early 1980s, Jackson's notable weight loss led him to attribute his change in physique to a healthier diet aimed at achieving a dancer's body, which he considered crucial for his performances. However, his thin frame and episodes of dizziness led some observers to speculate that he might be suffering from anorexia nervosa, a concern that became more pronounced in the final years of his life. Jackson's struggle with vitiligo played a significant role in his decisions regarding cosmetic procedures. According to his mother, Katherine Jackson, Michael turned to these surgeries to address the uneven skin tone caused by vitiligo, expressing his anguish over his blotchy appearance. Despite Jackson's public claims that he had only undergone a few procedures, Katherine suspected he might have had more than he admitted, suggesting a possible addiction to plastic surgery. After Jackson's death in 2009, more details about his health and cosmetic procedures emerged. Autopsy reports confirmed his diagnosis of vitiligo and revealed various other cosmetic treatments he had undergone, corroborating Katherine's claims. The final years of Michael's life were a tragic mix of ambitious comeback plans and a battle with physical pain. In 1986, Michael Jackson became the center of numerous sensational stories and rumors that captivated the public and fueled media speculation. Among these was the claim that he slept in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber to slow the aging process. This particular story, along with other unusual allegations, highlighted the fascination and scrutiny surrounding his personal life. Reports suggested that Jackson used the hyperbaric chamber for its potential healing benefits, as it involves breathing pure oxygen in a pressurized environment. Jackson denied the allegations, although a widely circulated image showed him resting in a glass chamber that many believed he had leaked to the National Enquirer. Jackson maintained that the image was just a promotional shot for an upcoming space project featuring him. Despite his denial, the story persisted, adding to the mystique of his lifestyle. Alongside the rumors regarding the hyperbaric chamber, there were allegations that Jackson received female hormone injections to maintain his high-pitched voice and lack of facial hair. Speculation arose that these hormonal treatments were part of Jackson's efforts to preserve his distinctive and youthful appearance, as well as his vocal quality. Michael Jackson's struggles with addiction were a deeply tragic and significant part of his life, severely affecting his health and career. His dependence on painkillers, exacerbated by high-profile legal issues and personal challenges, ultimately led to a devastating end. Jackson's struggle with painkiller addiction began after a tragic accident during the filming of a Pepsi commercial in 1984, where a pyrotechnic malfunction caused severe burns on his scalp. To cope with the pain of the reconstructive surgeries needed after the accident, Jackson turned to painkillers. Over time, his consumption increased, particularly in response to the immense stress caused by various pressures, including sexual allegations that emerged in 1993. In November of that year, the combination of these allegations, health problems, and his growing dependence on medication forced Jackson to cancel the remaining dates of his Dangerous World Tour. This decision highlighted the severe impact these events had on his physical and mental health, pushing him to seek treatment for his addiction. In March 2009, amid persistent speculation about his finances and health, Jackson announced a series of highly anticipated comeback concerts titled "This Is It." During a press conference held at the O2 Arena in London, he revealed that these concerts would mark his first major performances since the end of the History World Tour in 1997. Jackson suggested that "This Is It" might be his final tour, indicating his intention to retire from live performances afterward. The announcement sparked a wave of excitement and anticipation, with fans worldwide eagerly awaiting his return to the stage. All concert dates quickly sold out, and the shows were scheduled to begin in July 2009, promising to be a monumental event in Jackson's career and a potential turning point for his public image and financial situation. Tragically, on June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before the start of the "This Is It" concerts, Michael Jackson died of cardiac arrest in his rented home in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles. In the wake of tragedy, Janet has found her own way to grieve and keep her brother's spirit alive. Following Michael's tragic death from an overdose in 2009, Janet has continued to honor his legacy and their complex relationship through various tributes and performances over the years. Shortly after Michael's passing, she delivered a poignant solo performance of their duo Scream at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards as a heartfelt tribute to her beloved brother. To celebrate what would have been Michael's 60th birthday in 2018, Janet released a new version of the music video for his 1992 hit Remember the Time, infusing her creativity into the iconic imagery. On Michael's birthday in 2020, Janet shared a moving message on Instagram, accompanied by a photo of them as children. "I miss you, big brother," she wrote with a kiss emoji. Initially, Janet buried her emotions as a coping mechanism to deal with the loss of her brother and best friend. "I finally started the grieving process. I was in Paris, and it was one of the hardest moments," she revealed. "At some point, you have to move on, and I'm trying to do that. But it's really hard. Not a day goes by that I don't think about him. Not one." Over the years, Janet has struggled not to let herself be overwhelmed by her grief, but she eventually understood that it was time to acknowledge and accept her loss. Janet recognized the importance of processing her feelings in a healthy way. "I'm pushing myself in a way to get through this because it's not a healthy way," she admitted. During a cathartic night in Paris, she immersed herself in Michael's music videos and songs as a form of therapy, painful but necessary. "I spent the whole night in Paris watching all his videos and listening to his music. There were moments when I cried and others when I laughed. It was good for me. I needed it." Even though she mourns him daily, Janet understands that she must find a way to move forward while keeping Michael's memory and influence alive in her heart. Their relationship was complex, oscillating between closeness and distance over the decades. However, indestructible family bonds ensure that their love for each other will always endure. Janet's grieving process consists of celebrating Michael's extraordinary life and talent, while being honest about the struggles and pain they both faced. It is only by fully embracing all aspects of their relationship that she can achieve a degree of peace. "It's a slow process, but I am determined to ensure that my brother's legacy lives on in my heart," Janet stated. Although she also spoke of the competition, jealousy, and pain that sometimes shape their relationship, it is clear that the love between these two great talents transcended even Michael's tragic death. Thank you for joining us today. Which part of the story surprised you the most? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story changed the way you look at the legends of pop music, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We are uncovering the history they tried to bury. Let's plant the seeds for the future. The next treasure will be revealed soon.